Are arrested in Washington, D.C. That 7 people were detained and could face more charges. The crew was taping a segment with Burbank Congressman Adam Schiff in the Longworth House Office building. And after the shoot, Fox News reported the crew then visited the offices of some of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, including Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Representatives Jim Jordan and Lauren Boebert.
So when the January 6 hearings were coming up, I said that the right-wing media was going to really show themselves. They're going to be hiding, they're going to be deflecting, they're going to be pretending like nothing's happening. And surely enough, that's exactly what happened. It was even worse than I predicted, because even Fox News has been majorly censoring the trial, playing all kinds of tricks, like saying they weren't going to air it, and then when they did, they didn't show a lot of the evidence. They were just showing the people inside of the building, not showing the multimedia presentations, and just acting like a North Korean news network. But of course, the folks that complain about similar things in left-wing media have nothing to say about this, because it's not about corruption. Americans don't care about corruption. They just care about their tribe. And here you have GOP media, Tim Pool, and Fox News contributor, mainstream media news contributor, Tim Pool. His coverage consists of talking about the GOP governor that got arrested, and I'm pretty sure there's massive levels of spin in this. You know, they're attacking their political enemies. What about the Democrats that did something similar? Or this is fascism, and now it's going to be like Hitler, and they're going to start coming and you know, if you're a Republican voter, they're going to come and arrest you, you know, just fear mongering, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't need to watch the video to know the substance of the content. And feel free to watch the video and come here and tell me how wrong I am. But anyway, oh my goodness. I just randomly bumped into another video that's basically saying one of the things that I just mentioned. Whistleblower claims FBI is purging conservatives, right? That's what he's talking about. Talking about Biden's ratings are falling, how CNN is falling apart. Ooh, look, someone on the supposed left is even, I don't know where his politics are, is saying the Democrats are to blame for the economy. Pay close attention to any right-wing media that covers this story about the Colbert arrests, and see if they choose to omit this kind of obvious detail. If they don't talk about this, then be assured they think you're dumb. They think conservatives are too stupid to think for themselves, to do their own research, to think critically. They think they can just give you half the story and lead you down a path on behalf of the GOP. Listen to this.
CBS and The Colbert Show say they were cleared to be in the building and issued this statement. Their interviews at the Capitol were authorized and prearranged through congressional aides of the members interviewed. After leaving the members' offices on their last interview of the day, the production team stayed to film stand-ups and other final comedy elements in the halls when they were detained by Capitol Police.
So clearly they were doing what they do. It's a comedy show, right? This is like when someone on the right makes some joke and then the left goes crazy and goes hysterical, and the right will get on their high horse and talk about how the left has no sense of humor. Look at how hysterical they're getting over something that's clearly a joke. Clearly Trump was only joking here. He's not being serious, and look at them, they're going crazy. Now we have the staff members from a comedy show recording comedy stuff, staying in the Capitol after they were told to leave, trying to get their footage for their comedy show done, and the right is going to pretend as if this is an insurrection. Control, blah, blah, blah. This is a guy who loves to cover all kinds of scandals and this and that, and we found out that this guy, he secretly did something, whatever. I don't want to talk about any of the stuff that came out during the hearings. Like, all of a sudden, he's not interested. The GOP doesn't want us looking at the hearings. They want to dismiss them. GOP media activist Tim Pool going along with that mandate and distracting you with other things. But things that he normally loves to talk about, he no longer wants to talk about because it's inconvenient to the political party that he works for. I'm actually lying to you. Tim Pool actually is covering the hearings, January 6th rather. He's made 2 videos about it. Here's one of them right here. Colbert staff arrested for breaching the Capitol.
Capitol breach. 7 individuals, some tied to comedian Colbert, caught unapproved in complex. Let me see if I can pull up this Twitter. It looks like we're getting like a weird thing happening with the
Yeah, we keep
display.
having to size it.
Yeah, whatever. You can read it. So here we go. We got this this Twitter thread from Chad Pergram, who says, Fox confirms that groups of persons associated with the Late Show, Steven Colbert, were arrested last night and charged with illegal entry to House office buildings after hours. Fox is told that people were arrested in the Longworth House office building. The group was in the Cannon House office building earlier in the day trying to get
I'm not quite sure why this guy in the lower left is nodding his head to this.
interviews around the time of the 1-6 committee hearing. However, USCP shooed them away because they did not have proper press credentials. However, the group surfaced later in the night after the Capitol complex was closed to the public. Fox is told they took pictures and videos around the offices of House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Lauren Boebert. Sounds like an insurrection, if you were to ask me. I mean, that's what the media was saying about who was it? Was it who was that? It was a congressman, right?
Loudermilk.
Loudermilk.
Yeah,
Barry
that's
Loudermilk.
Yep, they were saying he
yeah.
was leading a tour and helping people or giving them insider information.
Clearly being sarcastic.
What is this? Why would they take pictures? They say they were unescorted and arrested in charge of the legal entry. They were arrested near Boebert's office, released overnight. They've confirmed all of their names, 9 people. Now I can confirm several of these people.
So this is actually showing a demonstration of Tim Pool's genius. One of the things he's very good at is hedging. So by him saying things in that sarcastic tone of voice, it allows him to hide under the shield of, he's just being sarcastic, while at the same time putting the idea in the minds of the audience that this was somehow outrageous. When in reality, it seems like these folks were authorized to be there. They're doing their jobs, recording comedy. They were told to leave, and they should have left because the police tell them to leave. I mean, they're the authority there. If they tell you to leave, then you should leave. But clearly, they were just being aggressive in trying to get their footage for jokes on their comedy show. But Tim Pool is going to keep framing this in a way that makes it seem outrageous, such that the idea of comparing this to anything on January 6th actually makes sense. But if you try to attack him for that, it's kind of like, oh, he was being sarcastic. Right.
Do work for Steven Colbert.
Yep.
Some of them, I believe, which is one of these guys, I don't know, is the voice of that comedian, that dog.
And again, he didn't do a similar segment showing the tours. I mean, unless I missed it, if you guys saw him do a segment on this, not a honorable mention at the end of a video, but a video about that, right? The title talks about it, and the whole video is about this thing, and the same level of concern, like, oh my goodness, they were in there taking photos and whatever. Who does Tim Pool work for? Is he really independent?
That
Robert Smigel.
Is that who that is?
Yes.
What's the dog? Triumph?
Triumph.
Yeah. Oh, he actually goes on to say that. USCP have issued the following statement. On June 16, 2022, at approximately 8:30 p.m., U.S. Capitol Police received a call for a disturbance in the Longworth House office building. Responding officers observed 7 individuals unescorted without congressional ID in a 6th-floor hallway. The building was closed to visitors that had been directed by the USCP to leave the building. I got to tell you, my friends, this is worse than January 6th.
How so?
You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. I mean it seriously.
Again, this is one of the most brilliant manipulation propaganda techniques he utilized. You see what I just illustrated to you, and look what he's saying now. He starts off with the sarcastic, like, oh, kind of mocking the left, implying that the left was acting like something was a big deal that wasn't. So like this insurrection, it was just a tour, right? Feeding into that sort of narrative. But then you heard what he just said. He thinks it's worse than insurrection. Do you think I'm joking? No, I'm serious. Is he being sarcastic or is he being serious? Is he being sarcastic about being serious? The beauty of his technique is he allows you in your mind, it's almost like, I hate to use the word art, but it's a form of art, where he allows you in your mind to interpret the painting that he's presenting before you. So when you look at his painting and say that it is objectifying a woman, he can attack you for interpreting his painting that he can interpret in a different way and point out that other people interpret in a different way and make it all about you. You're the sick mind that looks at this innocent painting that's showing a woman as being beautiful, and you looked at it. That's what you saw. That came from you. That's all on you. That's not what I thought when I painted it, right? That's not what Tim Pool was saying. Whatever you try to attack him with, oh no, that's not what I meant. That's on you. Clearly I was being sarcastic. But what about the part where you said you were well,
January 6th, many of the people who entered the building walked up with no signs, with nothing, and had the doors opened for them by the police, who then went to take selfies with them. Those people, one guy so far, because there's been a few bench trials, one of these guys was acquitted because the judge said, cops opened the door and let him in. That's not trespassing.
So his big argument is, out of the hundreds of people that were arrested, there was one guy that got acquitted because cop let him in. Hours and hours of defending the Capitol with their lives, dozens of officers put in the hospital, a brutal assault on these officers trying to hold the line. And this disgusting human being has now reshaped reality to no big deal. They went to the it's just Mumas or whatever he says, just going to, wandering around, and the cop said, come on in. And they went in there and took some photos, right? No big deal. But in this case, they were told to leave, and then they still came in. Unlike January 6th, where the cops said, come on in, and they went in, and now they're in jail. Holy shit.
There was another guy who tried claiming the same thing, but he's on video climbing through a broken window and over broken glass. Sorry, that's not going to fly. You're trespassing.
Yeah.
These people were told to leave. They came back, and according to, I believe...
See, even that is inaccurate. From my understanding, they didn't come back. They just never left, right? Is Tim Pool going to inquire or question or point out that if cops are telling you to leave, how come it is that those cops didn't make sure that they left? Is he going to criticize the security of the Capitol? Or is he just going to make this about, the left, they did an insurrection as well. Look at this. They went in and it's worse than insurrection. All those cops that got attacked and assaulted and put in the hospital on January 6th, that was nothing compared to these comedians who went to the Capitol to record some comedy show and were told to leave, and then they didn't leave. That's worse. This is far worse than the insurrection. But if the cops told them to leave, think about it for a second. Have you ever been in a situation where police tell you to leave somewhere and somehow you don't? Like, usually when cops say to leave, they're kicking you out. So how do you get from that location where the cops are telling you to leave to not leaving? Do they just let you wander around as opposed to what they would normally do, which is escort you out of the building and confirm that you left? I mean, think about what happened on January 6th. The massive failure of security. Like, we knew something like this was going to happen. Why weren't they prepared? And here we are after January 6th. You have people in the building that aren't well, they say that they were authorized to be there. But you are telling them to leave. You have people in the building that you are instructing to leave, and you don't make sure that they actually leave? How is that possible? And then if you listen to Tim Pool tell it, it sounds like they left and they were let back in the building through some back door opened by Adam Schiff. Like, that's the idea that Tim Pool is putting in the minds of his right-wing audience. This is something that the GOP would love. Why does Tim Pool keep doing things that support the Republican, corrupt friends of the Democratic Party continuing to maintain power? Who does Tim Pool really work for?
We have it was a tweet from Jonathan Turley and a statement made by, it wasn't from Jonathan. Turley tweeted what Jesse Waters reported, that it was Adam Schiff and maybe one of his staffers who let them in the building. So you have a member of Congress letting them in the building.
I think the idea of having these people walking around inside of the Capitol unescorted, I don't care who they are, connected to Colbert or whatever, I think that's problematic, because although I'm pretty sure they were just recording some comedy show, what if they weren't? And again, think about what happened in January 6th. Think about what's happening right now, that January 6th is being discussed in detail in the hearings. And in that climate, we have a bunch of people in the Capitol just walking around unescorted after hours. Interesting.
After they were told by the police not to be there. That's almost as bad as the rioters. Now, they weren't engaging in violence.
Now he says it's almost as bad. And now here comes the hedging. Oh, well, they weren't engaging in violence, right? So you attack Tim Pool and say, how dare he compare this to January 6th? What about all these officers that got attacked and all the violence? Oh, well, Tim Pool said, he did mention about the violence. He did say that they weren't violent. He made that. He gives the nuance. Right.
Violence. The rioters on January 6th, obviously, arrest them and charge them as appropriate. But these...
Notice how, yet again, folks in right-wing media will never talk about what the violence that happened. They will just say violence, bad things, bad people, it shouldn't have happened. He doesn't want to talk about cops getting their eyes gouged out, or concussions, or multiple surgeries, or fighting for their lives for hours, or being dragged. He doesn't talk about any of that stuff, right? But he wants to be outraged about a comedy show recording comedy bits in the Capitol. Who does he work for?
What they did is worse than what the MAGA Mimas did when they blindly walked in confused. So
The MAGA Mimas who blindly walked in confused.
Yeah, just for awareness, be advised, there's probably about 300 Proud Boys. They're marching eastbound in this 400 block of kind of Independence, actually on the mall towards the United States Capitol.
I am not allowed to say what's going to happen today because everyone's just going to have to watch for themselves.
She's not allowed to say what's going to happen today. Everyone's just going to have to watch. But yet, dishonest actors like Tim Pool and Jackson Hinkle would like us to believe that it was all random. Anyone watching hearings by now know without a doubt that it's not random. What is she referring to that she can't tell us about what's going to happen today? She's clearly indicating that there's some kind of plan that she's unable to share. If they were going in there just to protest peacefully, why would she not be able to share what she's going to do? Oh, we're going to go and we're going to march and we're going to hold up our signs and we're going to be so loud that they're going to be unable to ignore us. We're going to make sure our voices are heard. Why can't she say that? Why is it a secret what she plans on doing?
But it's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
Who's beef? Our streets! Who's beef? Our streets! Who's beef? Our streets!
Why is there just one guy standing here?
We are on your side. Don't make us go against you. Understand the side. Pick a side. These are our streets.
Don't make us go against you. To the police officers who just casually let them in, he's pleading, don't make us go against you. I thought the police were just letting them in. What's he talking about?
$20 a picture.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing.
Cruiser 50, it does look like we're going to have an ad hoc march stepping off here. There's a crowd surge heading east.
We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump.
Now we're going to watch as the cops let the Mimas in that Tim Pool's talking about. Tim Pool said the cops just let the Mimas in, and that's why Stephen Colbert's team, what they did is worse than this, right? So let's observe the cops just letting the Mimas in. I remember people kept crying about, oh, why don't they release the footage from the Capitol, right? Let's see the surveillance footage. Here's the surveillance footage of what happened, as requested. Look at how the cops are just letting them in. They're all holding the line. You got a massive crowd of people pushing against them. And here, these are Mimas pushing against the barriers.
Get back, ladies. Get back, ladies.
This is the cops just letting them in, right? That female officer that is screaming out in fear of her life on the ground right now. Those officers getting assaulted, being overrun, and Tim Pool's description of what happened on this day is, oh, a bunch of Mimas were just let in, and then those evil cops want to put them in prison for simply trespassing. This is them trespassing.
Priority, we just had protesters. T-circle, breach the line. We need backup.
This is them on the radio, right? This is not some politician saying stuff on stage. This is them on the radio crying out for help. The line has been breached. We need backup. Does that sound like cops just letting the Mimas in? Look at all these Mimas, just confused. These are confused people just wandering around, right? This concludes part 1 of this 2-part video. This is Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Joe Biden fell off his bicycle. True story.